I want to thank my patron supporters who are helping me to make more videos more often. If you'd like to become a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR, the original. Thank you for watching this video. So I guess we can call this the Mccartney Trilogy moving forward. The Mccartney series has always been a mixed bag. In each one, McCartney sometimes seems to be experimenting with sound as much as songwriting. The first two definitely have their gems, but each one is also filled with tracks that might induce what could be best called varying degrees of head-scratching, depending on your musical sensibilities. But overall, with all three McCartney albums, it feels like he's making the music more for himself than anything else, and that we are just being invited to listen in. Over the years, more than a few music writers have stated that on the first McCartney album, Paul was already doing lo-fi long before artists like Daniel Johnston and Beck. Of course, McCartney can be heard doing lo-fi during the Beatles with tracks like Why Don't We Do It in the Road. Both McCartney and McCartney 2 featured their share of this, and I certainly expected more of this with 3, and that's certainly what I got. Hello, this is TJR, and this will be my track-by-track review of McCartney 3. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please be sure to click a like, click subscribe, and smash the bell notification icon so you can know when I release new videos. Okay, let's get to it. McCartney 3 starts strong with its opener, entitled Long-Tailored Bird. I loved this very rustic instrumental. Yes, there are some very sparse lyrics interspersed in this song, but the way in which they are recorded and performed makes them feel really more like horn or synth parts than a vocal. I thought this was a fun way to open the album, and also it set expectations on what to expect moving forward. I described this track as psychedelic lo-fi. The fun continues with track 2, Find My Way, which I describe as a more traditional folk rock song with psychedelic musical breaks. There is a real kitchen sink approach to how this track has been recorded. As throughout, Paul McCartney is throwing all manner of musical textures at us during the song. At its core, it's a nice, fun, mid-tempo tune, but it's all the interspersed musical breaks that really lift this track up and take it to a higher place. Track 3, Pretty Boys, opens with a nice acoustic guitar line. According to the Lyric Genius website, Paul McCartney has stated that the song was written about the demeaning way in which many photographers treat their subjects as objects. Pretty Boys appears to be the only track off of McCartney 3 to have some serious lyrical meat to it, making it a bit of an anomaly from the rest of the album. It's the most intentionally serious song on McCartney 3, which is interesting because its musical backdrop has a very carefree attitude to it. I started feeling indifferent about this one on the first listen, but my appreciation for it has been growing with each listen. Next, we have track 4, Women and Wives. I like the slightly off-kilter vibe between the piano and drums. Instrumentally, it reminds me a little bit of something that Fiona Apple might have played on Tidal, her first album. But unfortunately, the vocal melody doesn't really do anything to take the track's musical bedrock to the next level. This is a shame, because as I listen, I can't help but feel that just a slight bit of tweaking to the vocal melody could go a long way in complementing the song's main groove a whole lot more. Now everything picks up with track 5, Lavatory Lil. This is a fun little rock song with a fun title and some fun lyrics. And I really appreciate how well this song builds on just a very simple but fun guitar riff. This song feels like a distant cousin to Mean Mr. Mustard and Polythene Pam. The fun continues with track 6, entitled Deep, Deep Feeling. This track has the kind of theatrical feel that has me imagining it's taken from a non-existent musical. As I listen to this song, I can almost visualize the dancing, the staging, and the lighting. So far, this is the most expansive track on the album. And it would be interesting to hear how this particular track might have turned out if other professional players could have been brought into the recording studio and given the chance to add their own musical voice to it. But on its own, with McCartney as its sole musical voice, Deep Deep Feelings absolutely works as a piece of textural experimental musical theater. This track is worthy of its close to 8.5-minute length and is one of the strongest tracks on the album. Track 7, Sliding, opens with a real Wings throwback style guitar riff. This is McCartney giving us what I would describe as a slightly askew bit of arena rock. I like this track, but just like with Deep Deep Feeling, I have to wonder how much stronger this recording might feel if other creative musical voices were working with him to achieve his vision. But again, just like with Deep Deep Feelings, I have to admire what McCartney is accomplishing with himself as the only musical voice on this track. Track 8, The Kiss of Venus. This song features a beautiful acoustic guitar melody complemented by some equally nice harpsichord. But unfortunately, its vocal melody doesn't keep pace with its instrumental section, and as a result, The Kiss of Venus appears to perk up in between vocal lines. At this point, it would be very easy for me to just conclude that Kiss of Venus would work better as an instrumental. But just like with Women and Wives, it feels like a little tweaking to the vocals could have made a big difference. I also can't help but feel that singing with less falsetto would have given the vocal melody a lot more warmth than the falsetto that was used on the lead vocal tracks. Track 9, Seize the Day. Earlier, I described Find My Way as having a kitchen sink approach. So does Seize the Day. But whereas this approach worked well with Find My Way, it just feels disjointed on Seize the Day. The song opens with a nice piano riff, and I like the little Brian May guitarisms, but mostly the different musical elements of Seize the Day don't really come together like they should. Track 10, Deep Down, is a fun little bit of lo-fi grooving, but its musical structure doesn't feel worthy of its close to 6-minute runtime. Without the benefit of other musical voices added to the mix, it feels like this should have been a much shorter track. Finally, we have track 11, Winter Bird / When Winter Comes. This is an archival track that was produced by George Martin and then set aside. The announcement that this was a lost collaboration between McCartney and George Martin definitely created some sense of anticipation for its release. But doing so can also set high expectations for the listener, and that can sometimes negatively impact how you first hear the track. Sometimes it's just human nature to build up an expectation that this might be some kind of lost masterpiece. And this might have been exactly what happened to me, as at first listen, I wasn't too fond of the track. But with each subsequent listen, it's grown on me. And I'm starting to appreciate this song now for what it is, rather than for what I might have expected it to be. This track opens with the same opening riff as Long-Tailored Bird, but the song itself is just a nice, sweet little song. Nothing more and nothing less. Perhaps not the strongest song to end the album on, but certainly not the worst. As I write this, I am listening to it again, and I have to admit that its simple charm is continuing to grow on me. After listening to McCartney 3, I went back and re-listened to 1 and 2. I have to say that even though I don't hear any obvious radio hits on this album, like Maybe I'm Amazed from McCartney 1 or Coming Up from McCartney 2, I still find that 3 to be the stronger of the 3 albums. Track per track, there is more to enjoy than to not enjoy. But I have only lived with the album for a day now, and it will be interesting to see how the album settles in the context of its predecessors in years to come. This is TJR. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you think. Leave a comment and let myself and everybody watching know what you thought of this album. And as always, be civil in the comment section. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.